just need more, I just need more. We had all the time in the world, now I just need more, I just need more.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Walk. My name's Gareth and today I'm back in the Goyt Valley, the stunning Goyt Valley in Derbyshire, for a bit of a secondary explore of the Errwood Estate. Now, the Errwood Estate, nearly 2,000 acres of it, were built by the wealthy Grimshaw family in the mid-1830s. And in my last walk, I was joined by my beautiful wife Gemma, and we explored the remains of Errwood Hall, and we explored the Grimshaw family burial plot. Now on this one, I'm going to try and find St Joseph's Chapel. Now this was built by the Grimshaw family as a memorial to Miss Dolores, who was a teacher at the school on the estate and was also a wealthy Spanish aristocrat. Now she died in 1889, so the Grimshaw family built this memorial for her and it's still here, so I'm going to try and find that. Also, if you watch my last video, you'll know, I'm out of breath now, you'll know that there was actually a coal mine on this site that was owned by the Grimshaw family. Now that was apparently washed away in a massive flood in 1930, but that's not going to stop me getting my feet wet and trying to find some remains of it. So this is the remains of Errwood Hall. Now if I put Google Maps up and kind of zone out from there, these are the two sites, the coal mine and the memorial, that I'm going to try and find today. Look at that. So there's Errwood Hall, or the remains of it. And if you look at this photo, look how grand it was, unbelievable. Now I'm not going to focus too much on that because obviously we did that in the last video and I will put that in the description. Now this staircase here, this went up to an arch here, and then the pathway went off to the gates. And if you look at this photo, you can see the people, the staff, the people that worked for the wealthy Grimshaw family. Now that staircase there would have gone up to the burial grounds, which we explored in the last video. Now you can see here the gatepost there. Now this is a bit of an interesting one because me and my wife explored it before and we saw lots of stuff, and we met this guy called Steve, this local guy, who gave us loads of information, which was amazing. But lots of the stuff that I learned about, you know, the Grimshaw family and the Errwood Estate actually came in the editing process where I already filmed it. So there's the gate. Now the coal mine is down here somewhere. Now where, I don't know, but basically down by the river. Now as you can make out from the sound, it's been raining a lot in the last few days, so it's really kind of coming down, so I'm going to get my feet very wet almost certainly. But if you look at the old maps, you can see that this path comes here and that goes off in there, and then there's another one that went down to the coal mine, but that path, well, it might not be here anymore, to be fair. It might have got washed away as part of this massive storm in 1930, so it might be a bit of a clamber on my part, but that's fine. Now that pathway that showed on that map has gone, so I've just kind of gone down there, and you know, I felt basically the land sort of moving beneath my feet, so I've basically thought better of it. I'm not stacking it down and off a cliff edge. I'm also not giving up, so I'm going to come back to the top and see if I can't get down another way. Now up there at the top, that's the burial plot that we explored before, and here was a cottage called Castle Edge, or Castle Ridge. I've seen it spelt both ways. I'm going to go with Castle Edge because it's the first thing I said. Now this would have been the entrance, you know, into the house. That was a cottage. Here's a picture of the cottage and how it looked. Nothing left, unfortunately, just a few kind of bits of rubble lying around. Now here, if you watch the last video, there's that well that this guy Steve dugout, lovely chap. And there's that picture of the young girl stood by the well. Unreal how much it brings stuff to life, the old photos. Now here is another kind of recreation. There was a house there. Now that was the house that was inhabited by the mine workers. So this area at the bottom there, down by the water, was a small coal mine. And if you look at this old map, it shows up as a coal pit. Now I'm assuming, because of its proximity to the water, even before the flood, that they wouldn't have been digging shafts down. I can imagine that would have been something called a drift mine, which would have basically gone, you know, into the side of the hill. So that big hill there is, you know, potentially full of coal. Now this is where we came before. This is that property that was owned by the Grimshaw family, but inhabited by the mine workers. And this would have been basically the back fence. Now I'm wondering then if there's any access whatsoever down and along to try and find the remains of this colliery. Now I'll be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not expecting to find much, so if I find anything, I'm going to be happy as Larry, because I spoke to this guy Steve before and he said there's nothing down here. I'm not disbelieving him. Do you know what I mean? I just, you know, I like to see things for myself. And at very least I've got to see a beautiful little waterfall, which is lovely. Now let's try and see. Nah, I ain't getting down there, am I? I ain't got wellies on. I'm going to try and go across and round that way. Now I've got down the other side, but it's not particularly passable. There's going to be lots of sort of clambering. Now this looks like a coal face, doesn't it? I mean, there's plenty of shale. I mean, it's obviously all collapsed down, but it's got a sort of coal mine vibe about it, isn't it? Now, there are some photos of this before it got, you know, destroyed by the flood, but also just afterwards, where you can see here that water running all over it there. Now I've kept walking along, and from what I can remember from where the old maps pointed this coal drop to be, I'm very nearly on top of it, so I'm basically about to be very disappointed or very excited. But this is why I did this bit first, because I know that St Joseph's Chapel's there somewhere. so at least I can find that, whereas the mine, maybe not. Now it's opened up a bit, and I'm about to basically be at this point here on the map. So if it's not there, then it's not there. And Steve wasn't lying. It's been washed away. This is the point on that map. So this would have been, I guess, a working area. And there's nothing, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, there's a lot of stonework in there. You know, there's probably part of the colliery that you know, got washed down and in there, but oh mate, I got wet feet and stung. Never mind. Right, I'm going to try and get out that way then. So it's an X next to the colliery. No colliery remains. Right, let's head off then to St Joseph's Chapel. Now, just as a bit of a recap, the Grimshaw family, a guy called Samuel Grimshaw, was a very wealthy merchant. Sorry if I'm blinding you there. Very wealthy merchant. Mate, this is very squelchy. And he built this estate in the mid-1830s. And then it never left, goodness me, I'm falling all over the place. It never left the Grimshaw family. It remained part of the Grimshaw family for 100 years until 1934, when Mary Grimshaw, the last of the Grimshaws, I'm out of breath now, died with no heirs. So at that point, a compulsory purchase order was put on the whole of the Grimshaw estate, and the reservoir at the bottom there, the Irwood reservoir, was built. Unfortunately, they used quite a bit of the stonework from the amazing Errwood Hall for like the pump house and stuff like that in the reservoir. So that house is gone, which is gutting. Now the floor, and you can see how much my feet are disappearing when I put my feet down. It's so uneven and really soft underfoot, so I can see how, you know, if there was a massive storm, that would collapse down and unfortunately take the colliery with it. An amazing thing about the Grimshaw family. Now, given that they were, you know, wealthy merchants from Manchester, they became friends with the Spanish royal family. And what connected them was their Catholic belief and their devotion to the Catholic Church. And so actually there's photos of the Spanish royal family here at Errwood Hall, just basically knocking around with the Grimshaws, which seems quite random. But it was that connection to the Catholic Church which led Miss Dolores, the very wealthy aristocrat from Spain, to come and live on the estate and teach the kids in the school. She was so loved by all these kids that when she died in 1889, there was basically, you know, a mass mourning, and they built just the following year a memorial chapel for her. St. Joseph's Chapel it's called. Now that's what I'm going to have a hunt for, although I'm probably going completely the wrong way. But this is me, you're used to that if you watch the channel. And here we go. I'm on a path again after all that, so I can get back up and find this chapel. I went the wrong way. I walked all the way up the hill, and it's not all the way up that hill, it's all the way up that hill. Oh well, it'll be worth it, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be worth it. Now, I have seen a photo from inside, and I'm not told, I read, that you can still get inside. Now, if you look at this image, it's been damaged in the middle there. Now, it would be quite easy for one to assume that actually that was maybe a more recent thing, you know, because there's a lot of tow rags about nowadays, isn't there? But actually, that graffiti was done in 1901. So we had thugs in 1901. And actually, if you look at this news clipping from the local newspaper, Mary Grimshaw, who was distraught at the death of Miss Dolores, who was a great friend of hers, actually closed the estate. She closed the grounds to the public, because the public used to be able to come and, you know, walk around like I am, the wrong way. And she closed it, as you can see from that news article there. Okay, I'm back at the site of the cottage again. Let's pretend none of that happened. I literally couldn't have been further away from the chapel. I was going all the way down there, and it's all the way up there. Don't. Now, hopefully I'll get there before I lose the light, because it is going a bit. Reason being, when I was looking for pictures and stuff, you know, when I did the last explore, found some really good ones, by the way, I was pointed towards quite a lot of sort of paranormal websites and paranormal Facebook pages that had been focusing on Errwood Hall and the Errwood Estate and St. Joseph's Chapel in particular. So I'm wondering, you know, if I'm going to get a kind of vibe when I go in there, if I'm going to feel something, or hopefully something positive. Hopefully Miss Dolores knows that I'm coming in peace, do you know what I mean? But we'll see. I'll pretend to be brave even if I'm not. This is a bit of an added little bonus. These steps. And a wee little bridge there across. Now, I've spoken before about, you know, the human aspect when I do these walks and stuff. Like, I love looking at old stuff, and I'd have been, oh mate, if I'd have found some remains of that coal mine, I'd have been buzzing. But at the same time, you know, walking across, maybe not that bridge, because that bridge looks relatively new, but the steps and stuff going down to it were hella old. And you're like, you know, they would have been walked upon by the Grimshaws and by the Spanish royal family. And I mean, I'm not a royalist, far from it, but it's still just kind of significant, well, everyone's significant, but significant people in terms of fame, I guess, from history. And then, you know, I'm traipsing down them, having gone the wrong way multiple times. Mate, I've climbed miles up. Well, not literally miles, but that's really old, that gatepost. Oh, mate, I still can't see it. But it's up here somewhere. Oh, mate. Still stomping. I'm seriously losing the light now. but I'm pretty sure I'm close. There was a sign. It's the first sign, and even he's not even mentioned on the sign, which is strange because, you know, the hall is signposted and the burial ground is signposted. You think that you'd signpost this, but I've had to sort of go off an old map and a hunch. But I think I'm pretty much there now. I just hope it's open, because after not finding any coal mine remains, it would be a bit of a damp squib, wouldn't it, if I can't even get in there. But I am nothing if not an optimist, so here we go. There's some trees. Now the trees are relevant because this beautiful little chapel, let me get a little wriggle on so it's not too much of a lead up, you know, like an X Factor result. There you go. Found it. Oh mate, I made that harder than it should have been, but there we go. 1889, 1890, that was built. I'm hoping I can get inside. Here we go. Oh wow, there's books and stuff in here. Oh my goodness me. Oh, that's amazing. 1889. And there you go, there's that. You can see the mark there. It's not Virgin Mary at all, sorry. You can see the mark on his face there. That was done in 1901. And look, people are still coming here, signing the book. Wow. That's amazing. That's I mean, those flowers are, you know, relatively fresh, aren't they? Incredible. There we go. I've left me a message. Much love to all who read this. Dreadful handwriting on my part. So there we go. I managed to beat the light, just about, or rather beat the dark. I didn't get a negative vibe in there, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't at all. I think it was quite nice, actually. That's not to say those ghost hunters are wrong and stuff and there's not something going on, but I didn't feel anything negative. Nothing but love. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Sorry for the panting and all the sort of wrong directions and stuff, but apart from that, hope you enjoyed it. I did. And thank you so much for your subscriptions and your comments and everything else. I wouldn't bother doing it if it weren't for you. I appreciate it. Thanks. And I'll see you next time.
I say